Hey, everybody, and welcome to Arcane Wednesday for July 29th, 2020. I'm your host, DM Gallibond. Hey, everyone. Today we are going to take a look at a spell for Arcane Wednesday, Cause Fear. This is a spell that has been around since the very beginning, and it has a little bit of an interesting history. So let's go ahead and dive into it, shall we? All right, 5th edition. We'll start with that, as we always do. Cause Fear is a first level spell for warlocks and wizards. It's verbal only, it takes an action, it's considered a necromantic spell, and basically it just frightens a target. You can specify one target within 60 feet of you, and if they fail a wisdom save, they become frightened of you until the for the duration. And at the end of each of their turns, they get to make a save uh, against the effect of being frightened, or of course, if you stop concentrating, if you lose concentration due to being damaged or something, then um, they will the effect will end. And then if you upcast it to a higher spell slot, you can target additional creatures. But this is fear that affects one specific creature that you identify. And then, of course, constructs and undead are immune. So pretty straightforward. And like I said, in 5th edition, it is for warlocks and wizards. Well, let's jump in the Wayback Machine and go all the way back to the original rules of D&D. Now you'll see I'm putting it on the spell list for once because I want to show you guys what's going on here. In the original rules, Remove Fear has this little asterisk, which means it's a reversible spell. The reverse of Remove Fear is Cause Fear. And you see it is a cleric spell in original D&D. So now we're going to go and remove fear. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what remove fear does. Remove fear or cause fear. You have to touch a living creature. And the duration is 2 turns. That's 20 minutes. So if you cast the reverse of this spell, cause fear, you have to reach out and touch your enemy. And then they're afraid of you for 20 minutes. And they don't they will get a saving throw, and they make a saving throw versus spell to avoid the effect. And the reverse spell has a range of 120 feet. Oh, okay, so you can actually. Oh, now that's interesting. So you don't have to touch them. You can target somebody within 120 feet. Now, usually in these reversed spells, the only thing that changes is the effect. The way you cast the spell, everything else is the same. So I would have expected that Cause Fear to be a touch spell. Interesting. All right, so it's a 120-foot range, which is significantly, it's much further, and it lasts 20 times longer than the 5th edition, but it's for clerics only. So now if we go to AD&D or 1st edition, once again, this is a remove fear, and it's reversible, and it's for clerics. So cleric instills courage, and then the reverse of the spell, Cause Fear, causes the victim to flee in panic at a maximum movement speed away from the caster for 1 round per level of the cleric causing such fear. So if you're a 1st level cleric, it'll cause them to run away for 1 round. Now, again, think about the differences in the duration. This is a minute with concentration. This is 20 minutes, no concentration required. This is 1 round per caster level. Once again, all for clerics. Second edition. And then the other thing to keep in mind is that this is okay. We're not. This is abjuration. The 5th edition is necromancy. There were no schools in original D&D. 1st edition, it's abjuration. 2nd edition, it's also abjuration. So this affects 1 creature for every 4 caster levels, and the range is 10 yards. And so reverse spell, cause fear, causes 1 creature to flee at panic at maximum movement speed away from the caster for 1d4 rounds. So this one, it doesn't care, the duration doesn't care about your level, it cares about a roll of the dice. Successful saving throw against a reversed spell negates it, and any wisdom adjustment also applies. Of course, cause fear can automatically be countered, blah, 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 blah. And neither spell has any effect on undead of any sort. So, pretty consistently, in the early editions of the game, this is a spell that's exclusively for clerics. Notice in 5th edition, clerics don't get this spell. Well, let's take a look at 3rd edition, because 3rd edition is usually where things start to morph pretty crazily. So now, by 3rd edition, they do have a separate spell for cause fear, and it is necromancy. And it's available to bards, clerics, death domain, and then sorcerers and wizards, 1st level. So components are verbal somatic, 1 action, 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 levels, 1 living creature with 5 or fewer hit dice. Okay, so now we're starting to put limitations on how tough the creature can be. And then will may negate it. All right, so effective, a creature becomes frightened, succeeds on a will save, it's shaken for 1 round. Creatures 6 or more hit dice are immune to this effect. And then remove or cause fear, counters and dispels remove fear, and vice versa. And then we're going to take a look at 4th edition. Now, a lot of times 4th edition things get overlooked, but look at this. Level 1 encounter prayers for clerics cause fear. Holy symbol ignites the fury of your god. Uncontrollable terror grips your enemy, causing him to instantly recoil. Range 10, 1 creature, wisdom versus will. Target moves at speed plus your charisma modifier away from you. Fleeing target avoids unsafe squares and difficult terrain. This movement provokes opportunity attacks. And so it doesn't. Now this one, it's interesting. It doesn't say how long this lasts. It doesn't say moves away from you until the end of their turn. It just says moves away from you. So without specifying a duration, I'm just going to say it's just immediately it's an immediate effect. And then when that creature's turn comes around, the fear is gone. I'm guessing. Because it doesn't say anything about any ongoing effect. And then that brings us back to 5th edition, Cause Fear. So, this was one of those where I say it's interesting because currently it's available for only Arcane. And yet, for much of its history, up into and including 4th edition, it was almost exclusively the domain of clerics. The only time that it was able to be used by arcane casters was in 3rd edition when they expanded it out. But now they've taken it back from some of those other classes and given it only to the warlocks and the wizards. All right, so that is the Cause Fear spell. Kind of interesting to see how the effects of the spell change over time. And as I always say, one of the reasons for looking back at how spells worked in the past is if one of your players, says, well, I want to use the spell, would it work thus and so? And you look at the rules as written for 5th edition, and it kind of doesn't really address the situation they want to do. Well, if you know what it used to do in other editions, you have a better sense of whether what the person wants to do is really in the spirit of the spell historically, or if it's kind of off base. And it gives you, if you're a DM who wants to kind of observe the rule of cool to a point, but not break your game by just kind of allowing anything to happen, then having that historical context of what these spells did in the past can be helpful. All right, if you have any stories or scenarios about how Cause Fear was used to great effect in your games, either by one of the players or by the DM against the players, put it down in the comments below. I'd love to see what you have to say there. If you like what we're doing, please remember to click the subscribe button, like the video, click the post notification bell. That way you will be notified every time new content drops on the channel. Getting a lot more things up there. In the last week, I've been able to finish the entire video series for the Dragon of Icespire Peak. I have uploaded all of the I've uploaded and published all of the episodes of the current Thursday night game, the Sword Coast Chronicles, and I have uploaded but have not yet published all of the videos from the History of D&D attempt we made last year. As you know, on Saturdays we're doing a History of D&D Weekly, where I'm kind of going through a bunch of information that will be helpful for people who want to come and play in the reboot of that game. I feel like I didn't educate the players enough on how different original D&D is from the modern edition. So I'm making a series of videos now that I'm going to point players to, make them watch them, and then give them a quiz to make sure they actually watched it and they know what it said, so that if they want to play, they're coming in with a better understanding of the rule set. Yes, I know, I'm that kind of DM. It's like I don't want to have to stop and explain the rules to you all the time. I don't mind sharing the rules, but I want you to kind of have a baseline knowledge of what the rule set calls for before we go into the game. All right. I have been DM Gallibond. This has been Arcane Wednesday. Hope to see you back here next Wednesday. Remember, every day we put a different aspect of D&D up, so please explore the playlist, like, share, and subscribe. And then in the description, you'll find all the ways that you can follow me on other social media, as well as where you can find the videos from my live streams. Take care, everyone. Talk to you later. Good night, everybody.